Breaking news tonight, President Trump extending the ceasefire with Iran just hours before it was set to expire. The dramatic move as talks break down with no clear timeline on what happens next. The president insisting the U.S. blockade will remain in place despite Iran demanding it end before any discussions take place. Vice President J.D. Vance's plans to lead negotiations in Pakistan now on hold. The new video of U.S. forces intercepting another oil tanker, plus our new reporting on where Iran's current military capabilities stand. The troubling close call at JFK, forcing one plane to perform a quick maneuver to avoid crashing into another. Plus the new video of planes hitting power lines and the Good Samaritans lifting this aircraft to save a pilot trapped after his plane went down. New details on the deadly attack at a popular tourist site in Mexico. Chilling new video capturing the gunman during his rampage as bystanders try to hide. What it reveals about a possible motive, and we hear from an American about his daring escape jumping from a 15-foot ledge. Summer travel warning the growing number of airlines scaling back flights and increasing costs. When to purchase your plane ticket before prices soar even higher. The search for AI-proof jobs, why more white-collar workers are trading in their suits for scrubs. Fiery car rescue, dramatic video as officers race to save passengers before flames consume their vehicle.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Yamas.
And good evening. We begin tonight with breaking news. President Trump just announcing he's extending the ceasefire with Iran. This coming just hours before the truce was set to expire, with both sides no-shows in Pakistan for the latest round of peace talks. The president now saying he's waiting for Iran to come to the table with a unified proposal and will keep the ceasefire in place until they do. Preparations have been in full swing for more talks in Pakistan. The problem? Neither the Americans, including Vice President Vance, or their Iranian counterparts were on their way. With the ceasefire extended, the president also announcing he'll keep up his naval blockade, including seizing ships like this one, boarded Sunday in the Strait of Hormuz. And just today, check this out, new video showing U.S. forces seizing an Iran-linked oil tanker in the Indian Ocean. Commandos rappelling onto the deck, guns raised. For the latest on all this, we begin tonight with NBC's Keir Simmons on the ground in Pakistan.
Tonight, President Trump dramatically extending his ceasefire with just hours to go, posting Pakistan asked him to delay an attack until the Iranian regime can come up with a unified proposal, but that he'll continue the blockade. The president had appeared optimistic about talks in Pakistan just before 9 this morning.
I want to make a great deal.
But by 12:30, lead U.S. negotiator Vice President Vance arriving back at the White House, his trip to Pakistan off for today, with Iran refusing to commit to attend talks. Earlier, President Trump insisting the U.S. is in a strong negotiating position to get Iran to sign a nuclear deal.
We're going to make sure that they never have a nuclear weapon because they'll use it to blow up, because they're religious fanatics, and they will use that weapon to blow up the world.
The U.S. blockade pressuring the Iranian regime. The Pentagon intercepted another oil tanker under sanctions, this time in Southeast Asia, while President Trump saying an Iranian cargo ship seized Sunday by the U.S. Navy was carrying material from China.
We caught a ship yesterday that had some things on it which wasn't very nice, a gift from China perhaps, I don't know. I thought I had an understanding with President Xi, but that's all right. That's the way war goes, right?
Iran demanding the U.S. stop its blockade before any talks, while reversing its decision to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, firing on an oil tanker this weekend. Its captain pleading with Iran to stop its attack.
You gave me clearance to go. We're fighting now.
Both sides today were threatening a return to war. NBC News learning Iran's military still retaining significant capabilities despite being badly damaged, including having thousands of missiles and attack drones, according to a recent statement to lawmakers from the Pentagon's Internal Intelligence Agency. Here in Pakistan's capital, officials say they've been in constant contact with Iran to convince them to come back to the table. A police officer tells us this highway and large parts of the city are closed, ready for Vice President Vance and the Iranian delegation. And it will stay closed as long as there are peace talks, if there are peace talks. President Trump tonight indicating his ceasefire will now last until talks are concluded. Quote, one way or the other.
And Keir joins us now live from Pakistan tonight. Keir, the developments are moving very fast right now. Iran responding to President Trump's move to extend the ceasefire?
Tom, one Iranian state television headline tonight saying simply Trump backs down, while an advisor to the Iranian lead negotiator saying this is simply an attempt by the U.S. to buy time for a surprise attack. But the tension, Tom, remains. Tom?
Okay, Keir Simmons first. Keir, we thank you for that. Now to another mid-air close call we're just learning about at a major American airport, this time JFK right here in New York City. Here's Morgan Chesky.
Tonight, a close call at JFK. An American Airlines regional jet missed its approach path, flying dangerously close to an Air Canada regional jet. Onboard alerts sounded on both, and they landed safely. The FAA is now investigating. The near miss comes after a string of incidents involving small planes. On the right side of your screen, a plane-induced fireball swallowing power lines and a terrifying crash landing. The Monday collision near Los Angeles happening mere feet above passing cars and ending in an auto parts parking lot where helicopter footage caught the plane upside down. A group of witnesses working to lift the single-engine Cessna high enough to allow the pilot, described as a man in his 70s, to be pulled to safety, critically injured, but alive.
My brother and 10 other people helped out to pick up the plane. When we picked up the plane, they took the guy out.
Farther north, another crash landing. This one when a plane clipped power lines near Salinas Airport. Officials say 2 people were on board. No injuries were reported. The cause of Friday's collision still unknown. And tonight in Mesa, Arizona, police sharing this video, capturing a small plane turning 3 lanes into its own airstrip. No one was injured. The department later posting, unexpected emergencies can happen anywhere. Stay alert. Morgan Chesky, NBC News, Los Angeles.
And there are new details tonight in that deadly shooting rampage at a tourism hotspot in Mexico. Officials now confirming 6 Americans were among those injured. NBC's Priscilla Thompson has the latest on those victims and what we're learning about the shooter.
Chilling new video appears to capture audio of a gunman on a deadly rampage on Mexico's Teotihuacan pyramids. In the video, terrified bystanders are seen clinging to the ground, trying to hide. Jacqueline Gutierrez filmed it.
The guy was yelling things. He was telling us that this was a place for sacrifices and it wasn't a place for you to come take your stupid little pictures. He seemed to be targeting tourists.
As the screen goes black, people are heard crying as gunshots ring out. A Canadian woman was killed and 13 others injured, officials say, including 6 Americans and a 6-year-old boy who was shot.
He's the one that you can hear crying in the video. And to me, that was the hardest part because in Spanish, he was saying, please don't kill me.
What was it like laying there for those 14 minutes as this is happening around you?
Yeah, it felt like eternity.
Oh, they're shooting at him.
Authorities identified the shooter as 27-year-old Julio Cesar Hasso Ramirez and said the attack was premeditated. Ramirez carried literature and images, according to investigators, that appear to be related to the Columbine massacre.
He brought out a speaker and he put a song on it. It was really hard to tell exactly what it was, but I remember hearing a reference to Columbine.
Monday's rampage occurring on the anniversary of that deadly shooting. Mexico's president now ordering increased security in archaeological zones and at tourist attractions as the country prepares to welcome more than 5 million people for the World Cup. Priscilla Thompson, NBC News.
Now to a major change coming to the nation's 2nd largest school district that could have a ripple effect across the country. Los Angeles schools voting in favor of restricting screen time in the classroom. Here's Liz Kreutz.
Tonight, Los Angeles unified, voting to become the first major school district in the country to limit and in some cases ban screen time, including the use of iPads and computers in the classroom.
I believe that we have the opportunity to lead the nation.
The push for a return to pen and paper assignments coming after months of mounting pressure from parents, like Kate Brody, who helped form the group Schools Beyond Screens after she learned about the daily iPad time in her son's 1st grade class.
How would you describe the tech that your son is being given and told to use?
It's highly gamified. It's like candy.
It is addictive, and this is sold as personalized learning, but it's really antisocial.
The district's new policy will ban the use of devices in the classroom through first grade and set recommended screen time limits for all other grades, including no screens during recess for middle and elementary school students. It will also restrict student access to YouTube over concerns about the platform's ads and autoplay.
Post-COVID, there was this proliferation of ed tech and the promise of ed tech, but a lot of these resources, if well-intentioned, are not effective in moving kids where they need to be academically.
LA Unified defends their use of tech, saying in part, devices are used to enhance learning and develop students' ability to navigate technology safely. But many families say it's gone too far. Some states, including Utah, Alabama, and Virginia, have passed similar laws to also restrict screen time in school.
We want school to be a place where childhood is protected and for kind of a life of the mind to flourish.
Liz Kreutz, NBC News, Los Angeles.
And as AI threatens so many industries, one is thriving and paying good salaries. Emily Ikeda explains why so many Americans are giving up working in office buildings to become nurses.
Frantic patients, open wounds, and a smoky landscape.
I got ambulances on the way.
In this emergency simulation, Columbia University nursing students are preparing for real-life emergencies.
We have folks coming in from law, the food industry, from business, from finance. Second ambulance on the scene.
Natalia Pasklinski's students are part of a nursing boom. The Labor Department last year reporting healthcare as the largest source of job creation in the U.S. at a time when many industries are shrinking, in part because of artificial intelligence.
Why do you say nursing is AI proof? I don't think that AI can pick up on the minute nuances that may happen in human emotion, that one-on-one, that empathy.
Amid an aging population, the Wall Street Journal calls nursing the surefire new path to American prosperity. With growth in salary, the median wage nearly double other occupations, and opportunity.
I definitely wanted to be able to pivot at any point. I wanted the flexibility.
Dasha Efremov already has experience as a bedside nurse, but is back in school with the goal of becoming a nurse practitioner so she can diagnose patients and prescribe medications.
I think knowing that in nursing, you don't have to be married to the exact specialty that you start off in is incredible.
Still, the industry isn't without its challenges. Tough hours, physical and emotional demands, and strained staffing levels. But many agree their work is a passion.
It's definitely exhausting at times, but the positive patient outcomes make it all worth it.
Emily Ikeda, NBC News, New York.
And we need our nurses. All right, we're back in 60 seconds with what you need to know about summer flights, airlines cutting routes, prices taking off. So when is the right time to book that ticket for your summer plans? Now to major airlines slashing flight routes amid high jet fuel prices, just as so many are gearing up to fly. Sam Brock now on why summer travel for so many is up in the air.
Tonight, it's another turbulent twist for passengers already dealing with the double blow of higher airfare and increased bag fees. Airlines slashing routes. Delta, now the latest major carrier to join the list, cutting some flights for 3 months from busy hubs like JFK, Boston, and Detroit. Jet fuel's sky-high jump linked to the conflict in the Middle East appears to be taking a toll at home.
Why are airline tickets so expensive right now?
I'm like, should I hold off on buying flights? Are things going to get better?
Confusion for consumers over costs and routes, as Delta says in part it routinely adjusts its network as part of its normal planning process and evaluates a range of factors when making these decisions. Tonight, we're learning Lufthansa will cancel 20,000 short-haul flights in a bid to save jet fuel. It comes as low-cost carriers in the United States, like already struggling Spirit, have pleaded for help from the government, with President Trump today calling on a healthier company to buy them. Katie Nastro is a travel expert at Going.com.
Low-cost carriers operate on razor-thin margins to begin with, and if they're struggling in the way that Spirit Airlines is struggling, that really is a red flag for low-cost carriers in general.
Now airline CEOs bracing passengers for a bumpy ride.
I also don't know how long oil prices will take to come. Even if this ends, there's a long time to get back to normal.
All right, with that, Sam Brock joins us now live in studio. So, Sam, for our viewers out there, should they book right now?
The answer is absolutely right now. Some people under this fallacy, Tom, if they wait a few weeks or months, the prices are going to come down. Obviously, in this environment, that's extremely unlikely. But if they do, most airlines will honor a rebooking without a fee or credit if it's not basic economy.
Okay, good to know. Sam, we thank you for that. We're going to be back in a moment here with a dramatic rescue. Police racing to police people trapped inside a burning car, how they all got out alive. We're going to show that to you. That's next. We are back now with an urgent rescue caught on camera. Body cam from the New York Police Department shows officers racing towards a burning car lodged in between branches with people trapped inside. They blast the flames with an extinguisher, then smash open the window, helping pull the people out. And in Chicago, surveillance video capturing a massive robbery. Two thieves breaking in and stealing more than $100,000 in Pokemon cards and sports memorabilia. The store owner says the thieves smashed through the front window and seemed to know exactly where the items were located. No arrests have been made. All right, that does it for us tonight. That's Nightly News for this Tuesday. I'm Tom Yamas. We thank you so much for watching. Tonight and always, we're here for you. Good night. We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.